them to.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, I've hung out, I don't know.
And they could be sympathetic, but not relate.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I don't know, though, because I've hung out with multiple people that I feel totally fine with that haven't had kids. And
Oh, yeah.
I do great. But I just didn't feel funny. I didn't feel like myself. Me and you had only had sex once in this 4 months.
Yeah.
And the one time we had sex, it felt like a cactus going into a donut. I felt like I needed an epidural just to have sex.
That's
like
crazy, yeah.
it hurt. Like it wasn't fun. Nothing about it was great. It felt fucked up. I was like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
But that's apparently normal. And you don't feel normal until 6 months. And so, and who knows? Maybe 6 months I'm still not going to feel normal. But I just didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel funny. I didn't have the quick energy that I usually have. And it was because the entire time we were at this Thanksgiving, I was just thinking about him, like no other thoughts.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's the first time separated for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm. But I did do a girls' night with you watching him.
Yeah.
And I was pretty fine. I did all right. I talked about him nonstop, but the girls totally understood.
I think you had a lot of distractions.
I did.
Like you were with a group.
I was with two girls who don't normally like to be outside of their homes, their home bodies.
Mm-hmm.
We all almost canceled, all of us.
You were also drinking.
We're also drinking.
That helps a lot.
I knew you were at home with him.
Yeah.
I knew you had the car. Anything that was going to happen, he was going to be fine.
But you were off your bearings.
Mm-hmm.
And then we left him. So it's like compiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. So on Thanksgiving, I should have just said, no, we're just going to take him. And everyone would have been fine with that. But I was already feeling very weird and off from Wednesday. Like Wednesday on, I had like just this weird feeling. That's what he was doing with me. So, and then last night, or yesterday, I was talking to Marty and I was like, I think even Friday night when we had friends over. And it's just like getting back to yourself. Like you have to relearn who you are as a lover, a mother, a friend.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I think that's what was my realization, was that I have to learn all of these things. And not necessarily have to, but I'm ready to learn those things, I think is what it is. Like I've just been so consumed with making sure he's alive and making sure I'm alive and making sure you're alive. And I now have time to I have some time to focus on who I am again. And it's very overwhelming. It's just so different.
Yeah.
Everything's so different. Even yesterday I cried because I wanted to have sex with you, but I just didn't feel like it. And then that last night I gave you a hug, and then that hug turned into sex, and it felt great just to actually be able to connect with you as a person, and not feel, minus him crying midway through. But I did feel felt normal.
The baby, not me crying.
Oh yeah, Marty was bawling his eyes out.
We're having sex.
But it had been so long since I had actually connected with you.
I know.
And really, like, just giving you kisses and hugging you was enough for me. But then all of a sudden I was like, I do want to have sex with you right now because we have to, for one, because we need to rip the Band-Aid off at some point. And I was also realizing my vagina feels a little more stable. So let's give her a shot.
And did it feel like a cactus going through a donut?
No, thank God. It actually felt really smooth. It just,
awesome.
Your penis felt massive. So that's.
Well, it was new.
Oh, God.
Stupid.
So that's great. But yeah, it was still tender, but it wasn't like.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was ripping in half. There was no burning sensation. So that was nice. That was really nice.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a lot to navigate.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
And then
you have all these ideas in your head as a guy of like what it's going to be like with someone who's given birth.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them aren't very positive, but it's fantastic. There's like, it's great.
Yeah.
It's not like, if anything, it's a little tighter than before.
But I mean, you even had, I mean, you were feeling remorseful for me
Yeah.
not being able to feel like me.
I feel bad for you. And I feel like, I'm partially responsible for the progression of this. I mean, obviously, I take a lot of responsibility in this relationship of making sure everything's okay and that we're okay. And when things are kind of not necessarily out of my control, but a little bit out of my control, and
But there's not much you can do.
Be supportive and be loving, and remember to stop like hitting you so much and things like that.
It is. It's crazy because I mean, and I know it's different for every woman. But if I can be honest and let the next woman know who's going to have a baby that you're not going to feel like yourself, but also don't let the not feeling like yourself make people depict that as your postpartum depression, because it also isn't a postpartum depression. It's a postpartum symptom because it's something that's happening after you've had a baby. But postpartum, because every time I've heard postpartum, I always instantly think depression. I always think, oh, you're talking about postpartum stuff. That doesn't involve me. I am postpartum. I am postpartum. I can say 2 years from now, I'm 2 years postpartum because I had a baby 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So it has nothing to do with that, but your body, things are different. And as much as women would like to say, because I know there's certain people out there that say, I felt the same afterwards, I felt great afterwards. Cool. If that's how you feel after having a baby, awesome.
Neat.
But that's not everyone's experience.
Yeah.
Everyone's experience is totally different. You could feel great after a month and you have sex and you go to your 6-week appointment and you want to have sex and you're ready. Or you could be really scared. But I think also looking at everyone's post on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube videos and blogs that kind of try to prep you for this stuff don't necessarily mention that you could or could not feel that way. They're just like, your body is destroyed, things are shitty, like, and that can also leak into how you actually feel. So it's important to keep those things, like, for sure, watch the videos, listen to other moms, because it will make you feel less isolated. But keep in mind that sometimes listening to that stuff can also leach into how you feel because you're open. Emotionally, you're a lot more susceptible to taking those emotions in and making them your own. And that's not good either. You have to be mindful about keeping someone else's emotions separate from yours.
Yeah.
And I think that's also what I realized too. Like, my emotion does not have to be the same as someone else. And if I'm feeling something, I don't have to necessarily talk about it either. I can keep it to myself. So I don't know. It's a lot. It's a whirlwind. It's figuring out who you are. And then all of a sudden you hit this thing and you realize, I'm taking care of this baby, but there is more to me than just that. And I think every woman should be empowered by giving birth and their choice too. I think just empower yourself. Baby, no baby. I mean,
well, I think a lot of men go through it too, as far as I could feel there's a moment where, and I've seen other men do it or go through it, and you feel like you've lost something of yourself because now you are something different.
Yeah.
Now you're a father. Now you have someone relying on you.
And we're
parents. That is a big responsibility. But I don't think that means that you lose yourself or that you're any less of a person. Even though I feel like that's what a lot of people take, or that's the route they go down, and I had a moment where it's like, oh, am I nothing more than a father now? Like, is that my only objective in life?
Absolutely not.
And just for a moment, like literally like a day of contemplation, like, wow, is this who,
Is this it?
yeah, is this who I am only meant to be? And it is something, it's just a part of it. Mm-hmm. It adds to the beauty of life of like, no, we've created this human, and it is my responsibility and my honor to raise this child in the most beautiful way possible, or the most beautiful way I know how.
Yeah.
While also being the best person I can be, true to me.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm. It's like you're navigating, I'm navigating. We're all navigating this fucking house.
And I've seen people, men, I've seen men feel less than, and it is like every man I've ever met.
Yeah. He was totally passed out, and then all of a sudden his eyes are all,
the way you're talking. I've met a lot of men, and they're like, oh, it's two different ways. They mean it in two different ways. They always say, oh, your life's over. You have a kid now. And some people mean it genuinely, like your life's over.
Yeah.
And some people mean, no, the person who you were before is over.
It's different.
It's all different now.
Mm-hmm. And it is. And it's like, it's great because now, because he was not an easy baby. And I think that's my, like, we're only planning on having one. We wanted to have two at one point in our lives.
Yeah.
I thought two would
Talked
be
about
awesome.
it, yeah.
I have no desire to have a second kid.
Did you know having a kid was fucking hard?
It's so hard. It's so hard. And this is why the reason I'm not having a second one is because, one, I don't want to. But that's that's the reason.
There it is. Period.
That's enough.
Done.
However, I have also solidified it with other things, which is not any reasoning to you, but all of our friends are having one kid. He's not going to be the fucking weird one out.
It's okay to be an only child.
And if he's the weird one out, I don't fucking care. It's what's
no
right
matter
for
what
us.
we do, our kid's gonna end up weird.
Exactly, it's us. We're weird. We're not normal.
And I didn't realize it till our friend Fran said it, and I was like,
because we had a legitimate fear when we were pregnant.
We had a small baby shower.
Yeah.
And I go, I am genuinely afraid of raising our child in a mundane, everyday life lifestyle. Like, they're just going to become boring, because the most interesting people I know have had a very weird childhood.
Yes.
And she goes, you are the weirdest people I've ever met. That's not going to be an issue.
Which I've never thought of us as the weirdest people, but when I look at what she's seen and what people do see about us, we are weird fucking people. We're not normal.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
not wrong.
that. I love that that's where we are. And we don't want to have a fucking another one. There's childcare is hard. He was not easy. There was times where I would set him in his crib. It was probably 2 a.m. in the morning. There was a time.
And it could have been way worse.
Way worse. Because he was easier than most babies.
Right. Because I have friends who
I've
were
had
children.
Lots of friends. Yeah.
Who, they have children who are autistic or, on the spectrum. And
for sure.
As they start.
Or even medical issues. If you have eye problems, if you have eye issues, if you have
ear issues,
any sort of issue that you can have as a baby.
And it's hard for a baby to understand what's going on.
Yes.
So usually their route is to scream, yell, uncontrollably.
And they don't know what's happening to them.
Because there's a sensory issue.
And he would get really bloated. I mean, obviously, a lot of babies have milk intolerances.
Yeah,
That's
pretty common.
that main dairy of milk, the protein